I can remember watching a science fiction series where these two scientists, um, they were like one-hit wonders as actors. I don't think they appeared in any other shows, but they were debating back and forth about they had um, they had achieved a form of radio based on advances on quantum theory, like string theory and subatomic particle analysis up and down quarks, to the extent that also the range uh, of land space that was coverable, and therefore it's like they'd built a perimeter of within this zone. Well, human thoughts were bigger, essentially, larger larger forms of matter and energy than the fields that were made operable by use of these radios. So thoughts could be studied, but the problem was that you fall back to the term epistemology from philosophy. It's where the problem lay. Those using it had this overprivileged, snide, looking down upon dreamers. But this was because, from a research point of view, they weren't able to tell the difference when conducting a study between something that was dreamed or imagined, or suppose they took a visual analysis, something in the back of someone's head, the content of paranomasia, various neural pathways, and they're watching imagery, but unless at the time that the person was being studied, they were to think to themselves, like have an inner monologue corresponding to the visual whatever, then the researchers would have no clue what the value placed on the visual stimulus was or what it meant. So yeah, the owner of this company would take the staff to conferences at least one a year and say, when we're out here, the masks all come off. But the debating was about ethics and shouldn't you make sure that the technology is absolutely able to distinguish between the imagined and memory of the memory of a material witness to a crime scene, and the onus is really on the researcher to do that, because any citizen really in that town is hostage to their ability to study. So and it all came back to them as in a karmatic kind of way, because they can't think as scientists of a way to make sure that they're eliminating, and so they go, no, that bit of sensory, those brainwaves aren't holding content that's of any use to national security. Oh, that's a scene from a film they watched. That's but these men started out being religious and going, well, we can do both. We can be religious, and we can be scientists of this kind. And the folly of that is that processes of such as elimination, basically all even the processes that they use to try and find something out, if they were to just point that devil's advocate tongue, argumentative tongue, and point it back at the contingent things that they've become accustomed to from their time in that religion, and then the axiomatic base statements and assertions made by their church, and then concentrate as scientists on a way to make their study method double blind, because it's not, certainly not a double blind. They're not doing any double blind studies. They're double blind in the sense that they can't tell the difference between, your ability to introspectively visualize a scene from RoboCop, and compared to whether, if you were on the run from graffitiing the side wall of a police station or something. They just can't. There's no way to tell. But they never stop to think about, well, where did you end up? Look what religion you invested in, and now look where you've ended up. And now you're a sense of harm to the very people in the same city that you said needed you, and that you would be there for, to care for them and their health, knowing what matters. So yeah, it was. I'm trying to remember the name of that series. It reminded me a little bit of Sliders. I always liked Sliders. I thought that was really clever, and I don't like the fact that it ended. I feel it ended prematurely. I think the man that played the professor, I think he wanted either better pay or had other. Anyway, who knows? I do try to track Gene Roddenberry. I always admired. He was, in the '60s, he wanted, black women at the helm, and men kissing men, and all these things. And actually, men kissing men. There's something South American network in the '60s said we won't air that footage. You have to cut it. But it was he still pushed buttons, regardless. And his son, it seems his son is making sure that since he died, the buttons that he didn't get to push, his son will push, and already has started to push instead.
Hey, dude.
Hey, dudes. How you going? Yeah, not too bad. Just, yeah, I'm just recording a clip.